Okay. I'm Emily Mortensen.
I'm Hannah Lowe, or Hyder.
She can't remember. I'm Kim Tafua.
I'm Thessaly Galason.
I'll get us started. Should we just do each person at a time, or go through the questions each at a time?
Let's do each
person.
Let's
Okay.
do this.
So the person I originally contacted never emailed. He emailed me back and said that he would answer my questions, and then 3 days ago went by and he never answered the questions. So I'm going to use the other one that I had done research on before, and it's actually the volunteer program I do called Trauma Intervention Programs. And this is new to the Boise area, but it's actually a national program that's done really well, and I'm super excited about it, actually. So Wayne Fortin is the founder of the program, and he got started because he was a counselor in California, and as he counseled people over a long period of time, he discovered a common theme to a lot of people's tragedies, that they weren't necessarily traumatized from the tragedy, but from the treatment they got after the tragedy. They felt like nobody was paying attention to them, validating them, listening to them, that kind of thing. So he decided to start this program where volunteers from the community are trained to just be there with the trauma victims at like the scene, like immediately after it happens. And so they train us with emotional first aid over a 50-hour training period. And then we're on call. So when an accident happens, or there's an in-home death, or a lot of times it's death, dispatch or the police officers or the paramedics, whoever's on scene, will decide, hey, we could use tip here, call them out here, and then they'll call us, and within 20 minutes we'll be on the scene. And it's really cool. And the next question was the prevalent problems for families here in the community. And kind of what I was saying was that there's a need for people to have support right at the scene, or right immediately after the tragedy. And so he decided to fill it. And I kind of answered the other questions. That's how we help children and families locally. We wait to leave until they have another form of support there. So wait till like family gets there, or a neighbor's there, or someone that can take care of them after we leave. And I feel like it is very family focused in that, actually, you know what, I take that back. It's very much, I should have thought about this a little bit before, sorry. So I think we're family focused because we wait until family gets there, and we inquire, how did you meet your family, and have them kind of talk about what kind of relationships they have with their family, so we make sure that they have that support. Oftentimes, though, it is neighbors or friends if family's not nearby. So I feel like we try to get the family support first, and that's how we're family focused. And the other questions I would like to answer about trauma intervention programs is that we're very much community-based. So we are government-funded, or a nonprofit organization, but we're funded by the government. So we are funded by Treasure Valley, which is the area in Idaho that has Boise, Nampa, Caldwell, Kuna, Garden City. And all the agencies are trained to know what we do, and if we're needed in a situation to call us out. So not just paramedics, but also coroners, also fire departments, everyone. And yeah, I think that's it. Any questions?
Is that a place? Kim, you're still on mute.
I was going to ask, what was the name of the organization again? Sorry.
Trauma Intervention Program.
Trauma Intervention Program.
And I actually as a volunteer, I volunteered to do a little bit more, and so I'm the social media rep for the one here in the Treasure Valley, and it's really cool to be a part
Oh,
of.
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we just hit 200 likes. We've only been up and running for like a month and a half. So it's really cool to see how the community's reaching out to us, supporting us, calling us, that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. So, do you, as a volunteer, are you able to go help, like, on site if you see, or if you get a call? Do you ever go on site with the families or with the kids, or?
Yes. So if there's like a car accident, I'd be on the side of the road with them. If it was an accident in a home where the person died there, I'd be in the home. Unless it was like suspicious circumstances or a crime scene, then we're not allowed there.
Is there certain times that you're only on call, or are you basically on call all the time?
That would be so hard. I'm on call 3 times a month, and it's 12-hour shifts. So 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I give them my options that I would be able to work, and then they choose 3 of them, so I only do 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's about 30 of us on the team.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I was like only picturing you. I was like, that's a lot of time to be on call.
Yeah, no, that'd be too hard. Okay, I don't want to hog all the time, so who would like to go next?
I can go. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll go. So I emailed actually 6 people, and 2 of them, it was spring break in Texas, or where I was at least. So most of them didn't respond, but I finally got 1 response, and it was last night. So I emailed this one. I did try to do city councils, but they weren't responding. So I did a YMCA. And I believe he overruns one of them, like right by my house. And so I guess I can just read his answers.
Yeah.
So for the first one, it was what led you to get involved. And he said he got involved back in 2008 as a lifeguard, and he was a college soccer coach and had the summers off. And so similar to teachers, and he wanted to have a fun summer job. During that summer, he built great relationships with the directors at the YMCA, and 3.5 years later, he was looking for a change in his career, and so those directors had called him for a job opportunity. When I asked him, what do you see the most prevalent problems for families here in the community, he said that their largest problem are the families are trying to have a healthy balance on their time, with children being involved in so many activities, plus schoolwork, and parents getting off work at 6 p.m. or later. It's very difficult to balance all of that. And he said parents want their children to be involved in so many different things, and sometimes they struggle with balancing all of it, which I can see definitely, because my sister-in-law has her kid. She has 4 kids, and they are all very involved in things and never have time to really, it seems to, like, be kids, I guess, because they're always constantly doing this, homework, this, activity, this. And then I asked how does the YMCA help children and families locally? He said they do a lot. They raise $750,000 each year, and that gets put right back into the community to help families in need of financial aid and scholarships to such programs as swim lessons, summer camps, sports, and after-school care. They also have outreach programs to help with low-income apartment complexes. They have teen programs, older adult programs, and special needs programs. And he said basically you name it and we have it. They have everything from daycare to summer camp to youth and adult sports and fitness classes and so on. The organization is child or family focused. He said we are geared more to help families out in times of need and help families grow. We go through extensive training, however, over time we need to reach out to the Child Protective Services to inform them of a situation. He mentioned that that's one of the hardest things he has to deal with when he has to do that. Because he feels that he's almost breaking a family, even though he sees that there's an issue, but it's really difficult. The 2 questions I chose were what is being done to alleviate poverty in the community. He said multiple opportunities for scholarships and financial aid for our programs. The YMCA raises more than any other, their YMCA raises more than any other YMCA in the Houston area. And they also get grant money for from United Way and other areas. And the other one I asked is, what is being done to support children in the community who have disabilities, been maltreated, or abandoned? And he said, we really stress that the YMCA is for all, so we provide our Bright Life program to help anyone who has disabilities. He said there should be more information in the link. So, I don't know what else I'm supposed to talk about. Sorry. Is there anything else I'm supposed to add to that?
Only if you had like 2 other questions that you were supposed
Those
to.
were the 2 where I asked all the ones that were, and then the last 2 is the ones I chose.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. That's mine.
Do you have a YMCA? Because that one's in Houston, right? So do you have one close by you that you go to, or
this one is actually, he was talking about the whole Houston area. This particular one that he works at is like maybe 10 minutes away from my house. So I have like 2, or it might be even 3 that are like within 15 minutes from my house.
That's cool.
Wow.
Do you
The
go?
one that he works at is right. I actually have not been to the one that he's been to, that he works at. I was emailing other people at the other one that I have like kind of toured because I was going to do a volunteering thing there. But this one I have not been to. The other people didn't get back to me.
Oh, that was good. You got a lot of information, though.
Remind me what
I know.
was.
His position, it was I can't remember, I didn't look on the thing, but it's a director of...
Usually it's just a facility director, or like...
Okay, I think it was that one.
Because I used to work there, not at the one in Houston.
Oh, wait, youth development director. That's the one. Sports and play. That's what his is.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
I can go next, or Cecily, either way.
I'm nervous that my phone's going to crash because I feel like it has been after 20 or 30 minutes, which frustrates me. So just to be safe, is that okay?
Yep, sounds good.
I'll be quick. So I've worked for this lady named Kim Ferraro for almost 3 years, and she is superwoman as far as like she is so involved in our community. But so I asked her about one of her things. She does Leadership Spokane, and she works at the West Central Community Center. So I wanted to gear towards the West Central Community Center just because that's something I know less about. So I asked her what led her to get involved, because she is the manager of the center, and she said that her son is 7 now, and she wanted to have a place where she could feel like she was giving back to the community, because she used to work, I don't know if you've ever heard of Tidbits. It's like a little magazine, except for it's like one page. Anyway, so she used to be the owner. She used to own that, the one here. And then she's like, I didn't really feel like I was making a difference, so she wanted to. And so she applied for this job and got it, and has been there for almost 7 years, I think, ever since her son was born. What do you see are the most prevalent problems for families here in the community? I think from her perspective, because we kind of disagreed on this one, but that's okay. But from her perspective, she felt like kids were being neglected, just as a whole. And I think that in that part of town, I can see that being a very prevalent problem, because it's kind of like the rundown, for lack of a better term, the ghetto of Spokane. And so that's where the center is. So she sees a lot of neglect and a lot of drug and alcohol in the families. And so going back to her email. Anyway, and then, so that was drugs and alcohol and children neglect. How does the West Central Community Center help children and families locally? They provide, either depending on like if the kids get school lunch or however all that works, depending on their need. It's a need-based facility. So they provide free or low-cost use of their facility, and most of it is volunteer based. They do have some employees, and so they just provide, like, especially during the summer when kids are out of school and don't have anywhere to go, to keep kids out of trouble. They provide a place for kids to go and play and just be a kid. Do you feel your organization is child or family focused? She said that the goal is to help the family, but the immediate result and the immediate concern is the child. So they focus on helping the kids and maintaining a safe place for them. So one of the extra 2 questions I asked was, what's the coolest thing, or like what's the most beneficial thing that you have seen your community center do to help strengthen kids and help provide a place for them to be. And she told me about something that her athletic director does. He opens the doors for free for after school to all kids, so that they aren't just, because we have a lot of latchkey kids in our community, especially down there. And so she was like, he just wants everyone to be able to come hike. Everyone
each person at a time, or the questions each at a time? I'd say each person.
I'm distracted.
So
So he wants to be able to come.
He emailed me back and said that he would answer my questions, and then 3 days ago went by and he never answered the questions. So I'm going to use the other one that I had done research on before.
Hey, Jenny, can you mute your microphone? Hi, Jenny.
And it's new to the Boise area, but it's actually a national program that's done really well, and I'm super excited about it, actually. So Wayne is the founder of the program, and he got started because he was a counselor.
Thank you.
There we go.
Sorry, now I'm like, okay, back to, sorry, I get distracted easily and I can't focus. So she told me about her athletic director opening the doors to all kids so that they can come and play and have a place to, like, get that face-to-face interaction with other kids and develop social skills, develop just personalities, and not go home to an iPad or TV or whatever they have. And then another question I asked is, how do you want, or how do you spread awareness to our community about this place, and how do you ask, like, is there anything that you can do for the community to support you? And so she told me that, and I looked this up, it was so cool. A couple weeks ago, she and the center were featured on the news, because it's been around the West Central Community Center, and there's East, and there's a couple other ones. They've been around for a long time, but a lot of people in our community that have resources and funds don't really know that they need, like, that funding and those volunteers. And so she and the community center were featured on the news, and that was a way to spread awareness. And she said that word of mouth is how a lot of kids hear about it, and families, and they have signs up in some of the elementary schools. So I thought that was pretty cool. And any questions? Kim, you're muted again.
It's like, I gotta find the thing. No, I thought that was really, really interesting how you were talking about how she kind of even got involved in all of that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I love her. She does so much for our community. I'm like, I'm so blessed to have you in my life and to look up to you and help you by taking care of James Logan. He's her kid that I've been with, so I love it.
Oh, that's cool. Hi, Jenny.
Sorry that I was like, mute your microphone.
No, we got a feedback, and so we kept hearing.
I'm so sorry. I think I had 2 going because I'm trying to connect, so I just opened up a whole bunch of windows. So it was the old like the beginning of your feed from another one.
Gotcha. Oh, you're fine. You're totally fine. You're
Hey,
fine.
Cecily, I have a question.
Yes.
I volunteered for a very short time at a community center in Boise, and the way they did it was they had structured kid time for after school, so they would do free time, and then exercise time, and then snack time, and then education time, I guess, because they were just activities they did together. Is it kind of like that there?
Not. So that's more. And they have that, but that's more the daycare, and you have to pay a lot. Not a lot, but you have to pay for that. And so, like, they do have that, but it's not as. That's not what we talked about. But I know because I've seen it and I've been there, and so. But yeah, so what we were more talking about, how they opened up the doors after school to have everyone just come for free and play, and it provides a safe place for all the kids. So, but yeah, they do have more of a daycare setting rather than so.
Cool.
Any other questions? Okay, Kim or Jenny?
Yep. So I'll go ahead and go next.
Go for it.
So I talked to a gal named Jane Roberts. So she's in Idaho Falls, and she is the acting president of NAMI Upper Valley. So NAMI stands for National Alliance on Mental Illness, and there are currently about 51 members of this, and it's all volunteer. And she's acting president because they're in the process of voting on a new president. So I asked her what led you to get involved with NAMI in the first place, and she said that her oldest son was diagnosed with schizophrenia after his first year in college. It was many years ago, and she felt as a parent very overwhelmed and did not know anything about it, except for the stereotypical things that we hear about schizophrenia. So she felt that she didn't have any support. She didn't know who to talk to. Such a stigma about schizophrenia itself and mental illness. And she found NAMI, and that really helped her and answered her questions, gave her support. And so now she feels like being involved in NAMI is kind of paying it forward to others. So then I asked her, what do you see are the most prevalent problems for families here in the community? So she wanted to stick more with mental illness in particular. And so she said, first of all, it's the insurance. The insurance companies have changed where they're not covering as much of the mental illness. So she said they don't have as many services as they used to. She said that puts a lot of homeless out on the streets or without the adequate services. Also, she talked about how people don't know where to go, and especially families, and how to deal with the illness. And so she said that's kind of where NAMI comes in. And then also she said with mental illness, it's the stigma, and so you kind of hide it or you don't talk about it. So then I asked her, how does NAMI help children and families locally? So they have many different programs. So they used to have one here at BYU Idaho, but she said the students who are running it are no longer here. But it's called Connections, and what it is it talks to the young men, young women, college age, about mental illness, because mental illness will usually start around, I think it's like 16, 18 up to 24. So right in that range of when you're in college age is when mental illness usually will appear. And so it's getting out that awareness and letting them know that they're not alone, and what resources there are for them. Then they also have a program called NAMI Basics, and this is where you don't get much information sometimes from a doctor. They diagnose you, but then, you know what I'm saying, they ask you to talk about things, whatever, but they don't really explain the illness to you. So on NAMI Basics, that's kind of where they do that. I think it's four sessions, 4 or 6 sessions. Then there's Family to Family, and that's 12 sessions. They're about 2.5 hours long. And this is where family members go of those who have mental illness. So it could be your child, it could be your spouse, it could be your mother, it could be whatever family relation. And they go through everything. They give you this huge, big binder. And they go through week by week on different things. So they talk about the different types of illnesses. They talk about medications, just anything and everything you need to know about mental illness. And then usually they'll start a support group, because it's usually small. It's usually smaller numbers, like a dozen or so that are in the group, so that they can really bond with that group. And so then they start these support groups and stuff. So kind of a peer support for the youth, and then they also have for a family support group where they can continue to talk about the issues that are happening in their lives and kind of how they're coping with it, and have that support. They also have what's called In Your Own Voice, and this is where youth, or well, actually anybody, can talk about kind of your mental illness and kind of how you're coping with it. They have a program called Parents and Teachers as Allies, and so they go in and they're able to talk to groups so that they become more aware of some of the symptoms and issues with those with mental illness. Let's see. Do you feel your organization is child or family focused? So they said probably more family focused. They do focus some on individuals like the peer and the basics and stuff like that, but they said more it is to get the families to understand about the illness, because there's a lot of shame and whatever associated with it. So getting them to understand about it, and so that they can support the person with mental illness. So they said it's kind of both, but maybe a little more family. So then I asked her, how do you think that NAMI helps those with mental illness and their families develop a sense of belonging in the community? So again, she referred back to some of the programs they have, where especially they're trying to dispel the stigma of mental illness. And then my last question was, what other supportive services are there in the Idaho Falls community that help to support individuals with mental illness and their families? So they have something that's called CLUB, and unfortunately I didn't get what that stood for, the acronyms, but it's a drop-in center that's open to the general population with mental illness. Also, they have some activities and different things that the Behavioral Health Board puts on every so often for those with mental illness. They also have, for those that are homebound mental illness, the Meals on Wheels. I thought that was interesting. I thought it was just for old folks. Also, they have an Idaho Innovation Center. It's been renamed, but I don't know what the new name is. And that is where those with disabilities, it's kind of like a day center where they go and they have different types of activities. They have lunch, and then also they'll have some projects. So they actually get contracts with different companies where they can do like sewing, or anyway, they kind of can make things, and that's how the organization actually earns money to support themselves, by having these contracts and having those with disabilities, mental or otherwise, can come and learn a skill, and also to be productive. And they earn money doing that too, so they earn their own money doing that also. So it's not just for the center, but it's a way for them to earn money. So do you guys have any questions?
I think you covered a lot, so any
Yeah,
questions I had you answered.
Yeah. Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
thought it was pretty cool.
an incredible organization. It covers such a broad spectrum of stuff.
Yeah.
Jenny, you're the last person. If you're prepared,
I
sorry,
am there.
throw you in, but
And remember, I'm in Rocky Point, Mexico, and I'm not dressed modestly because I have my swimsuit and my cover-off. So my friends follow a scarf so that I can be modest and stay with the BYU guidelines.
well, thank you. I just got my endorsement renewed, and I promise, Bishop, I'm always modest. Like,
Yeah.
totally.
And I'm just going to give you some tranquility at this time. You see that?
Oh, so
Wow. Beautiful.
thank
That looks
you.
amazing.
You're very welcome. And I did, before I
I'm so
left,
jealous.
before I left, I contacted the organization and I talked to my friend Ashley at UMOM. Have you ever heard of UMOM? It's the initial UMOM, and what it is a new day. It's a day centers program. Their mission is to prevent and end homelessness, and they have on Van Buren Street here in Phoenix. They have it was an old hotel that they renovated into like little living quarters for it's for mothers and veterans, and they have it sectioned off, and secure. It's behind a secure gate so that the kids are safe and they can live there for up to a month. And let me just go through the questions briefly. I asked her what led her to get involved with the organization in the first place, and she has worked with nonprofits most of her career. She got her master's in social work, and so UMOM, she'd only been there 3 years. Loved their vision because, like Kim's, it's very broad. And let's see, what did she see are the most prevalent problems for families here in the community? And she was just saying that providing homeless families with shelter and support, an emergency shelter program was really key because there's so many single moms out there afraid, and they need a safe place to kind of gather. So on the premises behind the gate, they have a chapel. It's non-denominational, but they have a little store. They have donations for like career clothes, so like a little store for like games and things for the kids, clothes for the kids, clothes for the mom. They have a daycare and a teen center. And so she just felt like they just don't have a safe place to gather their roots and to feel safe. And they have job training. They have it's all encompassing within a safe haven, which I loved and she loves. How does the organization help children and families locally? They don't just house them for a month. It's a step process. So after they stay in their hotel room, if you will, then they are transitioned into a transitional home. And so, like when one family leaves after a month, then the next one, so it's a circular thing, and hopefully by the end they have temporary or they have permanent housing and a career at the end. So, which is amazing. And let's see, does she feel her organization is child or family focused? Most definitely. It's all about families. And they don't want to ignore single dads, but the statistics are it's mostly moms. So if there's any dads, they'll put them in the veterans section, like if the mom's in jail or whatever. Okay. And just as far as Chapter 10, in that Child and Family School Community Ecology of Community chapter, it's just part of the ecosystem. Like this is encompassing like family, community, and then I guess outreach. So anyway, that is my summary.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Go
Remind-
Mom.
It's for moms and their kids and veterans?
Yes.
Okay.
Moms, kids, and then a separate section is for veterans that, the ones that are down on their luck. Not necessarily. There's another place they would send them somewhere else, like a hospital, if they needed like repair work for their body, but veterans that are homeless with families. It's not just veterans. They have kids.
Okay. So
Cool.
what if you wanted to participate in, like, what if you knew somebody that needed to reach out to New Mom? How could you make that connection happen? Does that make sense?
Yep, totally. Yeah, totally. Because that's how I found them. And so umon.org, everything is on websites these days, right? But they have community outreach. They have volunteer work. What's really awesome is on this campus, if you will, is what they call it. They've opened up a little restaurant, and it's being subsidized by Starbucks. And so they train them, but then they have sandwiches and soups and things. And so they train them, and it's on site, so the families can eat there, but then they're getting work released, like they can learn how to do these things. Anyway, so you can volunteer there, you can give supplies. We did a diaper drive there, for a Relief Society. We had so many diapers. It was so awesome.
Good. So just online at newmom.org.
Uh-oh.
Oh, she froze.
I thought it was me. I was like, damn it.
No, she's frozen.
Okay.
Well, since we're running late, I'm going to go ahead and jump in our 2-minute summary so we can stop recording. But yeah, I can do that since I took some notes real quick until Jenny unfreezes. Okay, so I went over a trauma intervention program in Boise, Idaho, and the need they needed to fill was immediate emotional support for trauma victims. Hannah talked about a YMCA director who said that the need was for children to have a healthy balance in their lives of activities and non-activities. And Thessaly talked about a community center in Spokane where the need was many children are neglected. And Kim talked about Jane from NAMI and overcoming stigmas of mental illness. And Jenny talked about Ashley at UMOM. Is that right?
I think so.
She left, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
At UMOM in Arizona, where moms and children, if they need a safe place to stay temporarily, can go there. And then there's a separate section for veterans. The end.
Awesome.
Very good. Can you
Hey,
take us off live, and then I wanted to ask